Wasteland.com. This video is about an interesting piece of news. It just surfaced. I'm not sure when exactly. Yeah, I think it's pretty much brand new. It's being reported that the Yellow Vest protesters in Europe are planning on doing a coordinated withdrawal of cash to try and trigger a bank run in an effort to kind of strike back against the banking system there, which is very, very interesting. First of all, that they recognize that this is something that could be very significant. It means that they're more tuned into that sort of thing than the average people are, for sure. At least someone in this kind of loose organization. It's not really the type of organization that has like definitive leadership or anything like that. It's more of a movement. But at least someone had this idea and is organizing it, and they're planning to do it on Saturday to strike back against the government sort of banking system there. It says Yellow Vest protesters are hoping to trigger a bank run with a nationwide coordinated cash withdrawal. By threatening the French financial system, protesters say they want to peacefully force the government to pass their reforms. The interesting thing is that this could be incredibly significant if a large number of people actually do it. And even if they don't have a whole lot of people actually doing this, anyone else who's not even involved with the protests at all might think, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to get any money out after Saturday because they're going to do all this nonsense. And they're going to go out and actually, beforehand, it might even happen on Thursday or Friday, and actually magnify the effect, people trying to kind of head it off. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this, because as we know, the modern banking system is very susceptible to stuff like this. It's incredibly complicated and unstable, and there's a lot of just outright fraud, basically, and there's not nearly enough cash in the system to support everyone actually trying to get their money in cash all at once. And only a small percent, I think single-digit percentage of the physical of money is represented by physical currency. So it wouldn't take that much of people pulling money out of banks and ATMs to really trigger a pretty significant shortage. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. People who, if any of you who are in France or even anywhere nearby, should definitely be ready for this. This is one of the reasons why I always recommend people have cash at home on hand, as much as you can of your emergency fund. And you don't want like tens of thousands of dollars necessarily, because that could open you up to some significant other kinds of risks. But I would always recommend people have at least a few hundred, if not a few thousand, if you can manage it, in cash on hand, not just in your bank account, but physically somewhere that you can get it. Because incidents like this, obviously that could happen anywhere that they have a modern banking system, whether or not it's purposely coordinated. You could have power outages that make credit cards and other sort of transactions inoperable. And in the initial stages of any sort of crisis or grid down crisis, cash may be the only thing that you can use to buy goods and services with. And if it gets significant enough, the crisis, you might not be able to even use cash after, like local currency after that. But at least in the opening stages, it's a pretty good bet that you'll be able to get at least something for it. And certainly in the event of a bank run or something like that, where the actual crisis itself is a cash shortage. But this could have some really, depending on how the public at large reacts to the protesters doing this, it could have some pretty significant cascading effects for France and Europe, and even here in the United States, depending on how interesting this gets. So heads up, guys. Definitely make sure your stuff is squared away if you're in the region. Keep an eye on it if you're not in the region. And it's just very interesting to me that they recognize this as being such a weakness. But I think this could be potentially have way more of an impact than they're bargaining for, depending on how widespread it becomes. So we'll see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.